everybody, and welcome to the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast, episode 223. My name is Bret, aka Enigma9011, and you can catch this podcast live over on twitch.tv/Enigma9011 every Sunday at 7 p.m. You can join us in the chat, join us in the conversation as we go live, but if you can't catch live, that's a-okay. Go over to YouTube and podcast services the very next week, where it's broken out topic by topic and puts one big video and MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, any way you can support the show, like, shares, reviews, whatever it is. It may seem small, but does help the channel grow, so if you take the time to do that, we'd love and appreciate you for it. Today, jumping back into the swing of things, I guess shorter episode just because it's two topics, two very different topics, but the first one we're going to be jumping into, we're going to be talking about D23. As of recording, it happened 2 weeks ago. And I just wanted to talk about the theme park announcements, mainly the Florida expansion a little bit, just because I'm a big fan, as we've talked on the podcast prior, of our most recent trip last year, and then just memories in the past. Just wanted to talk about what my thoughts and feelings about the announcements are, what the likelihood of these things happening is, where things are going to go. We're going to have some fun and try and figure out all that stuff. Now, obviously, in comparison to the Disney-specific content creators, what I'm saying is all just very hypothetical, and I don't know, just trying to figure things out. Go check out those guys for sure if you want more of a definitive of what they think, especially people who go to the parks all the time and do vlogging and whatnot, and like this is their life. Obviously, they're going to have a better grasp at it, but just from little old me, simple plebe, I was just curious to see if we could figure out where things are going to go, what it's going to replace. I know a lot of people have a lot of thoughts online of like, oh, they're going to crush this, they're going to cancel this, blah, blah, blah. We'll see. Obviously, they adapt to the parks time and time again, as we've seen over the years, by either updating stuff, modifying it, whatever it is. And this is just another case of it. Obviously, as well, a lot of these ideas very early on in concept art and whatnot. We saw how long Tron took to build, being a copy and paste from Tokyo, you know. Granted, you know, external circumstances of a whole pandemic involved in that, but that took, 5 years to build? Who knows what the timetable is for any of these projects. Some, I think, will be a little bit simpler, not simpler, but easier to change and convert into new stuff, while other things seem to be a whole bigger change, expansion, whatever you want to call it, project. So who knows timetables on any of these things. So let us switch screens right here. Audio listeners, you're just going to be missing a little visual, no big deal, but let's Google Earth this shit. And we're going to scroll around, see what we use the map to our advantage, see what kind of land we're working with, what we could get rid of, whatever it is, and figure out where things are going to go. So, to start off, let's go, I guess, with the big one. So Magic Kingdom, we have some changes coming. We have a Villains Land, Cars rides being added, and apparently the largest expansion at Magic Kingdom ever. Shout out to the Walt Disney Company for this article. All right, so allegedly right now, the Cars stuff, sorry for all the scrolling and whipping around. Hopefully this doesn't make anybody nauseous. But allegedly, the car stuff is going to be going here by Frontierland, and we're going to be expanding the Cars attractions here. I believe it's 2 rides. I don't even know if it says. I should have read this earlier. 2 new attractions. No, one more detail to come with the land. That's okay. 2 attractions for the villains. So Cars might also be 2 attractions as well. In a reimagined section of Frontierland, guests will leave Radiator Springs behind and head off into the wilderness with 2 new Cars attractions. One will be an off-road thrilling rally race, and a family-friendly attraction that even the youngest racers will love. Thank you, Papa Griffin Chat, as well, confirming that. 2 rides, family style, and mountain racers. Thank you. So yeah, right now, Frontierland, this will be our section that we are working in. So a lot of people have been talking about, now I don't know if this is confirmed. If it is, I do apologize. They're going to be getting rid of the Liberty Bell boat that kind of goes around the River of America, or whatever they call this. They're going to be getting rid of this boat that goes around nice and chill, and they're also going to be getting rid of Tom Sawyer Island. Now, me being not the best, Fort Langhorne. Okay, so yes. So Tom Sawyer's Island is all of this. I wasn't sure if it was just this little section here, but it seems at least a part of it, and I think this is the jail cell area that is up here on this portion as well. So we got a decent amount of land. I can understand why they would want to, maybe not why they'd want to get rid of it, but why they would modify and get these things out of there. I think the boat's fine. I think the boat's one of those historic things. It's not anything that I typically go on, but it is a nice little journey. I don't know if you see anything on this back half of the path. I feel like from my memory of many, many moons ago, they did have like little standees of animals and stuff around here, but I could be wrong. Like I said, memory is trash, and I haven't gone on it in a while. So there's not a lot of appeal back here of seeing things. Obviously, you can see the train tracks are back here, but there's not much. It's just a nice chill ride, get on the boat, you can hang out. Papa Griff saying you can see Native American setups that you see most of also in the train ride. Thank you. Okay, so I am remembering that correctly. So there's not a lot to offer right now, so it's just a nice way to kind of separate yourself from the rest of the park, take a chill ride on the boat, relax a little bit. And I'd say that's kind of the similar concept with Tom Sawyer Island. You could definitely separate yourself because there's only those little boats going to and from the island. Not a lot of people go there, at least recently, so it's a chance for, you know, obviously the kids to play around on the bridges and whatnot, or go around the prison area. Like, it's nice, don't get me wrong, and it was fun exploring that as well whenever we went. But I could see why maybe they'd want to phase these out just in terms of an audience and how many people they get going there. However, it is a big task that they are undertaking if they're going to get rid of all of this water to make this whole section one, you know, landmass for these new rides. Now, I think it makes sense in terms of like a logic standpoint. Like, if you're going to fit 2 whole new rides here, you're going to need some land, especially if this mountain racer thing, I don't think it's going to be a copy and paste of Disneyland's Test Track-esque Cars attraction where you go through the storybook thing of Cars and then you race at the end. I think they should do something different. Just kind of takes away from a little bit of the uniqueness of the different parks. Like Tron, a little bit different because, look at it there. A little bit different because not everybody's going to be able to make it to Tokyo. But at least being in the continental U.S., I don't know if you want to copy and paste a lot and have them at the same places, but who knows, whatever. So I'd hope they'd make that a little bit differently and go from there. No, apparently it's a non-Cars IP Cars ride. Wait? The new one here? Or over in land? The photos I got here, they got the little car faces on them. So I think it's based on the Cars movie franchise, but maybe it's not those characters. Which, okay, fair enough. That would be fine. So yeah, I hope they make something unique. But yeah, if you're going to be fitting 2 rides in, then at least this chunk of land does make sense of space. You know, you could use that to your advantage. Obviously, you don't have to use all of it as well, as we're going to skip ahead. But apparently, Villains is going here behind Big Thunder Mountain. Could also kind of scoot over here behind Fantasyland. You know, you get a little bit of trouble area with the work areas and employee stuff that they need to figure out. But yeah. Papa Griff says, this one, yeah, these are all terrain types, not Mater and Lightning. Okay, all right, that's cool. That's good to know. I appreciate that insight. So we'll just be using the movie character car like art style, but not the characters themselves. Okay, that's neat. That's cool. I'm sure they'll still have like meet and greets or something along with obviously the main story characters to take advantage of that. But that's cool that they're making something unique there. That's neat. Now, in terms of, space, once again, this land makes sense. Villains, you got a decent chunk here. Yeah, you guys can see my mouse. Of land and free area to play around with. It's just, it comes into question, especially connecting this thing in. We got the typical, spoken wheel, which really helps with traffic flow. You don't have one ways to get to certain places, so it really helps move a lot of people. And I think you want to continue that with your new land. You don't want to make it like they do in Hollywood Studios and Disneyland, like their Star Wars land. You have 2 entrances. Does it make the most sense? Perhaps no, but you have a big tunnel going from Muppet Vision area to Galaxy's Edge, and you have a big tunnel area going from Toy Story Land. You have those 2 entrances. You can have that flow. So with the villains area, you could have your entrance. Now this is where it gets a little shaky. I guess if you landfill all this shit, you could put an entrance here where the Rivers of America, the Liberty Bell, there's one path here. And then I think it makes sense, at least in terms of a storytelling aspect. You have Fantasyland where you have all of your, good guy characters. You have your Snow White, you have your Little Mermaid, you have Belle with her tower and her restaurant somewhere. You could have the villains land behind it, looming over, your good guy characters. So you could make some type of connective tissue, maybe here by Gaston's. That would make perfect sense. He's a kind of a bad guy. Just eating a lot of eggs and stuff. Make a connective path here by Beast's castle and stuff. And then make that little horseshoe of a path, here. So it is a bigger land. This would allow, I think they said, also 2 attractions and dining and shopping for villains. So you are going to need a decent amount of space. Comes into question of, once again, the employee areas. The train, you could work around. You don't want... you can make, a bridge over it so it doesn't interfere. Oh, hey, here's the Native American structures. You could work around it where you don't have to stop the train for pedestrians or make some kind of thing there that it disrupts the flow. So that could work, but that is huge. Papa Griff says, opposing pathway will be alongside Haunted Mansion between Haunted and New Cars area. So Haunted Mansion, we got the show building here. So you're thinking along this path? Okay, that would make sense too. So then Cars area could be here, and then villains would just be right here behind Fantasyland and not this whole thing. Okay, that's fair. That's still a decent chunk of land as well. I mean, if we're looking very roughly at comparison, that's a decent chunk. Barnstormer to Haunted, that'd be big enough probably. Thought it made sense to go up by BB Dining thing. Belle and Beast, right here. The only hiccup I see with that is, as we can see here, the Mountain of Beast Castle, we only have a front facade. We need to then put a back facade. Obviously, that's just a little bit more work, but no biggie there. You do need to cover all the backs of the show buildings, so that will be another project in itself. Surprised, though, Papa Griff says, that they said villains would only have 2 attractions. Seems way big for only 2. Yeah, they might be going for a lot of set pieces, like you're trying to get Maleficent's castle, at least it looks here. In terms of the concept art, all the craggy, stylized rocks looks really cool. You got to be careful to make sure that flows from your good guy area of Fantasyland into the villains. You don't want it to be this abrupt thing. That would just be my only hesitation. And also, you don't want to scare kids, Like, you got to be careful that the kids don't feel freaked out in those kind of areas. You want to make sure that they still feel like this is a fun place to be. Who do you think wins the rides? That is an excellent question. So we got to also think of like who is even in this villains area. If we're thinking of Fantasyland in general, with Gaston being there, you have Ursula's representation with Ariel. Who else is here? Snow White, so you could have the Witch. Winnie the Pooh doesn't really have a bad guy. Small World doesn't have a bad guy. Cinderella's got her castle. Who is Cinderella's bad? Oh, the stepmother. Nah, she's not going to have anything. So I think the biggest one is Maleficent's castle is definitely the set piece, as we saw. So perhaps we would have a Sleeping Beauty ride. Have us maybe go through her castle. I know Disneyland Paris, ? Has a dragon underneath their Cinderella castle. So you could copy, for lack of a better term, some elements from that. Have us go through her castle. Maybe do a storybook-esque type ride of the story of Sleeping Beauty. You see the Maleficent dragon involved in it in some way. So there's still like good guy triumphs. It just takes place on their territory, which makes sense for Sleeping Beauty. Prince Charming went there with his whole, horse and sword and the thorns and shit. That could make sense. Mrs. G, Mary Bear in chat saying Cruella. That could be interesting. We don't have Dalmatians representation anywhere except for... Nope, that's Lady and Tramp. You are way off, Bret. That could be cool. I don't... See, I'm thinking they would still fit the storybook dark ride aesthetic, so I'm trying to think if Dalmatians would work. You could do... Okay, actually, you know what? The more I'm talking this out loud, picture this. Do a Mr. Toad's-esque, like, quick zoom in and out, Pinocchio-esque. You could do that with 101 Dalmatians, going through that. It just... The only hiccup there is the facade and building that you would be going into or to set up that ride. That would be my only thing. Not that you can't just go like, here's a brick building. It's the Dalmatians ride, So that could work. She does drive crazy at the end of that movie too. That is true. Papa Griff shouting out some other villains. Scar, Davy Jones, Stinky Pete. I don't know if we would have Stinky Pete because you got the Toy Story Land. Davy Jones, we have him make an appearance in the Pirates ride along with Blackbeard when that cycles through. So I would lean towards no. Scar, I feel like they would lean more towards Animal Kingdom with that, but there's a chance. I feel like, you mentioned Stinky Pete, but what about Pete himself? You could have him just be around like an anti-Toontown. Maybe not Toontown, but what do they call this? No, Pete's got his silly sideshow, so I guess that wouldn't work. Yes, Hades. Hades would be cool. We don't have a lot of Hercules representation, but he shows up in like Oogie Boogie Bash and whatnot. That'd be neat. I don't know if they would do a ride for Hercules, though. But at least have him around and do like a meet and greet or some shit. Jafar. Aladdin. That's another tough one. Not that they can't do another ride for him, but you already have Aladdin over here with the magic carpets. Not that that has anything to do with the character itself, or at least the story elements, right? You have their meet and greet over there. You know what? We might be onto something with these two first ideas, and I don't mean for that just to shut down everything else. It's just really tough. You could do a storybook ride of Aladdin like a Peter Pan, where you get on a hypothetical magic carpet, ride through. Maybe you could do some projection stuff as like they're doing the whole new world sequence. And you could do elements of that with like almost like akin to Figment, how he keeps popping in. Do genie stuff there. Maybe that could work. That okay. I could. While I'm not the biggest fan of the ride, in terms of a set piece, it would be really cool to see the temple. Oh, what was it called? What was the big tiger head called? But like seeing that and going into that as the building to go into the ride, that would be dope. So that could work. Could be kind of fun, but seems hard to put them all together. Yeah, Cave of Wonders. Thank you very much. Yeah, it does feel weird. It's kind of like, to throw it over to the video game side of things, but like Disney Dreamlight Valley, that's like a ride where all the Disney characters kind of walk around, good guys and bad guys alike, and then you kind of decorate it in different fashions and give them their little houses, and there's dark areas, and then there's like a tundra for the Lion King characters. So it seems, at least once again from the concept art, which is tough because we only have this one image, it seems just like this desolate wasteland of rocks and evil. That it doesn't seem like there's one big theme, so I think having a mashup of locations and areas makes sense. Like you could do that suspension of disbelief. So there's that. Will they drag Vader over? No, I think they would just keep him in Hollywood. I think you keep him over there in Galaxy's Edge because that's its own, like, that immerses you in Star Wars. I think it would be real silly, in my opinion, to have him whopping over in Magic Kingdom. Granted, I know Space Mountain. They've done Star Wars Space Mountain or whatever the hell. Hyperspace Mountain. I know they've done that, but that's contained enough. So I don't think so. I don't think we'd have Vader. How about like the Kingdom Hearts venue? Yeah. Like Hollow Bastion. Yeah, that's why I said Pete earlier. Because like he's a bad guy in Kingdom Hearts, but with Pete's silly sideshow, I don't think they would double dip and be like, well, actually, Pete's a piece of shit. Yeah. I think they want to keep him like a bumbling idiot. Sounds mean, but more this generic, he's there, he has a good heart, but sometimes can be kind of a bully. I think they want to keep him there. So Mrs. G said, then again, what about the Sanderson sisters? Or will they keep them Halloween? No, I think there's definitely certain characters, and that's where it gets tough too, with like balancing the new villains land with your special events of Oogie Boogie Bash, because usually that's like the only place, to my knowledge, unless you're running the 5K or the marathon and stuff like that, is that's where you would see the villains, and you make them like, what's the term? Like really special. Like that's a really unique attraction to see. It's kind of that plus is like, oh, I'm going to go there to see those characters. Now to have that villains land, don't get me wrong, cool, not that it wouldn't be. It's just like, if you do too much, how do you appeal the Oogie Boogie Bash minus obviously the extra hours and the shorter lines and the kids can dress up and the candy? Like, I guess that could still be enough of an appeal, but you got to make sure you don't just take everything that was hypothetical, special, unique about the event and just throw it into, okay, maybe you do that, but you would think you would want to keep it that way, but I get it that it is just that extra opportunity with those other perks that we did talk about of like the extra hours, stuff like that. Like that could be enough. But Sanderson sisters, I think they would keep them in particular to Boogie Bash. You could do that with other characters. I'm just trying to think, like, I guess Oogie Boogie himself, you keep him there. You do have the Disney characters that do dress up. So Faden's in chat, what's up? I know she shouted out Sora animatronic, which we'll get to that. But like, I know sometimes with these Halloween events, they have the characters dress up. So you may see, very rarely, but Donald and Goofy in their Kingdom Hearts attires. You'll see Max's Power Line, which they've done that a little bit more, but that used to be a unique thing. You'll see Mickey and Minnie in like little Halloween costumes along with Donald and Daisy and stuff. So maybe that's just where they would kind of go more gimmicky. Sounds bad, but like have the characters also dress up, and that could be the unique factor instead of the villains meeting them. That would be an interesting thing to see. But Sanderson specifically, I would think keep them to Halloween. While they are popular, I think it's more of like a cult popularity type thing. And I don't mean that in a bad way, like just cult classic. Like it's very hardcore, smaller audience. Even with the new movie coming out a year or two ago, I think they're still niche enough that if you throw and sprinkle them in there, it rewards. It's that perk for that hardcore audience to go to that. Like even like A Pain and a Panic from Hercules. Like not everybody's gonna know them, but if you know them, you're like, oh shit, they're here. Okay, cool, let's go. That could be a thing. Okay, so going back to the Sora animatronic, just imagining a horrific Sora animatronic. My friends are my power. Oh my god. Papa Griff asks, curious if they've imagined it out far enough to know how they will manage traffic with villains being at the very back of the park and everyone literally wanting to get in their hurry when it opens. That is a good question. I think the train would be a big... Well, I don't know if that would be a helping point, but everybody pile on here to get the train to go around there. That would be one facet to help traffic go that way. But yeah, that... I don't know. I would hope they've planned for that. Because, I mean, if you think about Star Wars and Galaxy's Edge is also in the back in terms of Hollywood Studios. So they've already done it. I don't know how you would weave a line through if it gets really long and is hours and hours along to get into certain areas. That is a fair question. Traffic flow is huge. We talked about the 2 entrances being crucial, but yeah, being in the back, you're going to have just... like you do at Rope Drop, you have people who target, as we know from our last trip, we're going to Snow White's minecart ride because this is going to be fucking packed as hell, you know? So you already have that influx of people going across this little bridge right here to go into Fantasyland, to go past the Mad Tea Party and go through there. It's going to be interesting. It is Snow White, yes. So that's a good question, Papa Griff. I don't know. I would hope they've planned for that, but we'll certainly see. So in terms of the new stuff for Magic Kingdom, that seems to be the only things that are being added here to my knowledge, is the Villains Land, is the 2 Cars rides attractions. I don't think there's anything else that they are currently planning for Magic Kingdom, unless I'm mistaken. Please let me know. I think these are all cool additions. Like I said, it's sad when anything leaves. It's sad to see Tom Sawyer's Island go just because of memories. The boat, while I'm not personally attached to it, I get the nostalgia factor, and it's always nice to see it there. It's gonna be, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. My biggest thing of like a gross factor is the water going away, in my opinion. I think that's kind of nice to have the water feature there. Obviously, you see it, around the main wheel and spoke thing in the center. It just kind of breaks things up a little bit. So to have that go is going to be a little weird. And yes, as we've talked off stream, the flow of where this fits for a Cars land, miniature land, I get it with Big Thunder. That kind of architecture of the desert, mountain-ish range, whatever you want to call it, that can fit with the Cars concept art here that we can see. Like, that makes sense. And if you've been in Cars Land in California, that's a similar aesthetic looking land there. So, like, that makes sense that it's going to be there. But yes, this whole coast towards Country Bear Jamboree and Hall of Presidents, etc. What do they just call this? Liberty Square? I think that's what it's called, right? Yeah, it's just right there, Liberty Square Riverboat. That's going to be awkward. How do you keep the dead asleep for Haunted Mansion? Maybe what you could do, and granted this is a spacing thing, and obviously Google Earth only helps so much. maybe you keep the river on this edge. Sorry, audio listeners, you guys are getting screwed out of this. No. Take Tom Sawyer Island. Take this area. Keep the river here. Keep this separation between Haunted Mansion and the new area. Keep this. Fill this in with land. This is your cars area. And make some type of division, how they can do a good job with theming. Make some separation between this part of the park and the new stuff. Because if you put it right on it, yeah, that's going to just look ugh, in a way. So that's something to be careful of. Let's see. Tortuga Tavern, Bounce and Pecos, I think. Tortuga Tavern, where the hell are you? Pirates. Isn't Tortuga like down here? Isn't this Tortuga Tavern? That seems too far. Where's that Pecos bill? No, Pecos bill's over here? Somewhere? I don't know. You can tell how fluent I am in restaurant locations. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. Mr. G, it's been pointed out that there is other land they could use. For the cars, I mean, yeah, okay, we talked about villains, right? Taking up, whoop, you got all this free land here, and you just got to worry about employee stuff here, employee stuff here. You could do the cars over here, but everybody's panicking like, oh, they're going to get rid of this stuff. Like, if they did it over here, great, whatever, cool. Then they don't even have to touch this stuff. So, I don't know if it's just the fandom, people freaking out of like, oh, they're going to get rid of this stuff. Or if someone, Disney higher-ups, has said, yeah, we're going to take Tom Sawyer Island and go, and we're going to take the boat and go, if they've said that, then, oh, okay, well, that's that. But you could hypothetically throw cars in this area, keep villains over this area, and then you still got a division in between, make a path going over, then you got 3 entryways. I don't know. You could do that. Their car lane is supposed to be snowy. At least in the concept area art I see here, it looks like Fort Wilderness-esque, like campgroundy. So I don't know about the snow stuff. Also, I see Mater and Lightning McQueen in the end of the fast race. Let's see. Papa Griff, I just think it doesn't fit there. First of all, cars in the Wild West, they were not invented. Second, the mountains don't fit. They literally block out everything else. And the noise, bad for parade route. That's fair. So if you tuck it in this back corner, that could help those things. But yeah. I'd almost be fine. There's no way they're doing it. I'd almost be fine if they got rid of Tomorrow Speedway. I know that's got nostalgia, but like cars, you could hypothetically do the future thing with like they got eyes and shit. I don't know. No, just that. But that is a good question or a good point. That the Wild West aspect and then this fantasy cartoony car thing, yeah, those don't really mesh. Power Griff says they did not say at D23, but apparently said it afterwards. Oh, okay, for getting rid of that stuff. Gotcha. There's more land to the left, says Mrs. G. If you mean like this greenery here, I mean, certainly they own it. So my only reason for sticking in this area here, whoops, did not mean to rotate. Stop it. My only reason for staying in here is this main road here. I think while, yes, obviously they own a fuck ton of land, right? Oh, Disney University. My alma mater. Not. While they own all this, well, I don't know how far they own, but they own a decent chunk of this, right? Yes, they have the freedom to expand over there and do whatever they want. The only thing here is it makes a lot more work for themselves and traffic flow because main roads, you got a river here, like this seems like a bigger undertaking to go outside of this main road, figure out pedestrian stuff, and keep the roads and stuff. Not that you can't build bridges, not that you can't make tunnels, whatever it is. That seems like a big project. Not that filling in water isn't a big project, but that would be a little bit more of a hurdle than just this area. That would be my only thing. But granted, as we talked about, employee area you got to work around, back sides of facades if you're adding it there, another employee area and boat maintenance thing. A lot of things they need to worry about. So it's certainly possible. It's just also, if they go way out here, you got to think of distance and like the size of things. Sorry, I know the scrolling's not helping everybody. This, like, okay, hypothetically, from Liberty Square to Pirates, all right, this little circle, we're going to plop that, hypothetically. Like, that's a decent-sized area to walk around. You're going to plop that over here. It's a big chunk, but that's still a big area to walk through. It could work. For sure. It's hard, like I said, to know. Like Papa Griff said, somebody mentioned it, that they're getting rid of these post D23. It's hard to plop it over here if this has been confirmed that we're getting rid of it. So I'm not sure. Oh, for the runway, they were supposed to move to electric vehicles, so 2 birds, 1 stone. Yeah. I mean, this still... Tomorrow Speedway still seems popular enough. I just thought in terms of meshing, making sense of a location that could work. You already got a track. I think your thing that would mess with you is if you're going to make indoor elements or whatever, then you got to build that. You got to figure out how to hold all these people. Yeah. Tron, while kind of invading Fantasyland, still fits the Tomorrowland aesthetic. So there's that. So yeah, interested to see once we finally learn more about this, of where officially they plan on putting things. I think we had some good ideas of rides. They're not going to take any of our suggestions, but I think we came up with some good stuff. I don't know what you do for dining. Maybe, okay, actually that might be a real simple one. It's going to be silly, but make the evil queen. Give her some kind of apple related like cauldron, cursed goods, or some kind of sit down with her. I think that makes a lot of sense, because you could use that imagery of the apple with the poison, with the skull, use that as your signage. Do I know what you call it? No, but I think that could be what you do for that. You already have Gastons down here, so I don't think you're going to do anything Beauty and the Beast related. Yeah. She's at the Snow White dinner. No. Yeah. I know she's at that special meet and greet outside of the parks that you went to this last trip. I understand that. But I'm saying, like, because apparently Villain's Land... La 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 la. Thought they said that there was 2 rides, right? Am I wrong? Or is the Cars thing 2 rides? La la la. I can't read fast enough. Maybe they didn't say anything. Maybe I'm wrong. No, it's right here. While more details are coming, this new land is underway with 2 new attractions, as well as dining, shopping, and more. So I'm saying, for your dining location for the villains, I think the queen would make sense. Like I said, use that imagery of the apple and the poison. You could make it just a sweets special. I am not good with words in terms of what I'm just like describing here, but make them like apple themed stuff or sweet treats, like something small, savory, quicker thing, not a typical sit down restaurant like a candy shop. Yes, exactly. Use that call it whatever you want to call it, she could be something you could use for theming and the dining. If we go off our hypothetical for the rides, you're going to keep Maleficent's castle for the attraction, so that wouldn't be the dining. Dalmatians don't have anything dining related to my knowledge. Like, I don't know what else you would do. Queen of Hearts make a Wonderland. Yeah, that could work, especially with you having Mad Tea Party here. I know, obviously, California has the Alice in Wonderland storybook ride. So you could throw her in here. I know Paris has a whole Wonderland section as well, where they got a maze you can walk through. So yeah, that could work. I don't know what you do with food, particularly for her, but that makes sense. Good call, Papa Griff. Absolutely. Unless they would consider a show attraction, which they possibly could. That is fair. That is fair. I want rides selfishly, but that is fair. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. All right, so Magic Kingdom. That's what we got going there. All right, going over to Animal Kingdom. I apologize for the scrolling because my brain is bad at knowing where each of the 4 parks is in the grand scheme of... Aha, here we go. Disney property, but we found it. So Animal Kingdom. Skirt. Pivot that a little bit. It's going to be hard to keep all in one section, but there we go. Buy out Wizard of Oz IP. I mean, they did it with... they had it in Great Movie Ride. I don't know if they own movie rights or anything, but... yeah. Alright, so allegedly, to Animal Kingdom, we got Esperanza. I don't know what that is. Encanto, and the exciting adventures of Indiana Jones. Alright. So, they're getting a new land which will take guests on adventures to tropical Americas. Guests will enter through the land through Pueblo Esperanza, a fictional village in the heart of the rainforest that will feel lived in, with a long, rich history. On the outskirts of the town, an adventure awaits with pop culture's most beloved archaeologist, Indiana Jones. The attraction takes place inside the mysterious Mayan temple and will be an all-new adventure, unlike any of the existing Indy attractions around the world. Glad to hear it. Not that I have anything against the California one. That one is a lot of fun. The land will also feature a new attraction based on one of Disney's most popular franchises, Encanto. The experience, which is the first ride-through attraction of the film for a Disney park, takes place inside Casita on the day after young Antonio receives his gift of communicating with animals. Alright, so this one is pretty simple, in my opinion, of where this is going. Hello, Dinoland USA and Dinosaur. It's going right there. No ifs, ands about it. We already know Dinoland USA, RIP, this Google Earth has not been updated. That's trashed. That's gone. There are a few game booths that are left and surviving remnants of this, but that is gone. Dinosaur. You were fun. They don't do TLC for you all that much anymore. I think it's real simple. They're going to take the ride system for Dinosaur. You have the Jeep-esque vehicles. You have the start-stop motion. You have that, not, woo of the Indiana Jones in California where it's whipping and dipping everywhere. They can modify it, but they're going to just use this track. They're going to modify it, make this Indiana Jones ride attraction, and pop it right there. In terms of the other stuff, Encanto and whatever Esperanza is, they're probably going to take up this Dinoland USA area. I think that's just going to be a dark ride. Going through the story, at least from what they said right there, that is the plot of the movie. Antonio gets his powers. Yippee! Mirabelle goes through her whole thing of helping her family. I think this will just be a dark ride going through the movie. I think it'll be a great time. I think they'll do a good job making this area very nice. But we'll see. Papa Griff bringing up a good point. So I guess Zootopia was dumped like a hot mess. So I did see some talk of Zootopia. It doesn't seem to be in this article, but the imagery that they showed, it looked like the Tree of Life. So I'm not sure if they're going to be getting rid of Bug's Life thingy and putting some type of Zootopia attraction here. I know I'm a little bummed that they're not doing any, or there's no Zootopia news. I've seen what they did, I believe, in Tokyo Sea, or not Tokyo Sea, Disney Sea, excuse me, with the animatronic for the Clouser, whoever the tiger cop is. Looked adorable, looked amazing. It would have been cool to see that over here. But I think, at least from the poster I saw, I think that's going to be taking over. It's tough to be a bug. Not exactly sure. But yeah, this one seems pretty easy to figure out. I'm going to miss Dinosaur. Like I said, Dinosaur was fun to go through. The one time I rode the little mouse coaster here in Dino Land, USA, I thought that was pretty fun. But I understand why they're swapping these out. Dinosaur can be a little bit spooky, so, nice for the older audiences, maybe not nice for the kid audiences. Indiana Jones, you could still have those spooks in there, but maybe that'll be a little bit easier for kids to handle. Who knows? I'm not an expert. But yeah, makes sense, especially with Dino Land being already destroyed. Something's got to go there. In terms of the rest of the park, I think that was the only thing there. Expedition Everest, let's go. Killing it. All right. Moving on to Hollywood Studios. As we're scrolling over there, let's catch up on chat. As long as it runs well, not like what we hear about Tiana's. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that's not going super well. Zootopia is supposed to be the tree, Mrs. G says. Do they still do Pocahontas show in Animal Kingdom? I don't think they do a show. I'm going to turn this map around just for my own waypointing. Here's the front of Hollywood Studios. I don't think they do a show with her anymore. I know she still goes out on the... Ooh, what are the boats called? It's not favelas. That is a building. Floating boats. The ones they do on the river that they started doing during the pandemic. She's still on those with Miko. Flotillas. Thank you. So, other than that, I think that's her only representation. All right. So, Hollywood Studios. We have one announcement for Florida. It is Monsters, Inc. Disney Hollywood Studios at Walt Disney World is the home to attractions of some of the cinema's biggest blockbusters, such as Toy Story and Star Wars. Now another popular film franchise is coming to life. Monsters, Inc. The Pixar franchise is getting a new land. Okay. Which will welcome guests to tour the Laugh Factory with an amazing new attraction. That will be the first suspended coaster ever in a Disney park. The power of friendship and laughter is at the heart of so many Disney stories, especially Monsters, Inc. Now we're giving fans a whole new way to experience this world in a Disney theme park and connect with the characters they love. This is another tough one, says Papa Griff, and I agree. So, I think it makes sense because it seems like Hollywood Studio obviously getting Pixar characters. Hello, Toy Story Land. We don't have any confirmation in terms of location, but everybody on the internet is freaking out. So, we're going to try and calm people down. Not that people are going to watch it, so it doesn't matter. But people are talking right now that Muppets 3D is going to get the can. Okay. So, as a Muppets 3D fan, this is the same attraction and ride since, oh boy, I went to it a year ago. I remembered this show verbatim from 20 years ago. So, it's the same thing. Is it still good? Yes. Did it still make me chuckle? Also, yes. I don't know if they would drop this. Now, there's a few reasons for this. One, and I think the biggest one, space issues. Now, I know if you take this down, you're going to take out Pizza Rizzo. You're going to, I don't even remember what is over here. It doesn't seem like a lot of space for a land that they are saying. Could you hypothetically put the Monsters, Inc. Laugh Factory thingamabob, whatever the building is called, from Monstropolis. Could you put that here? Yes, I think you could do that. However, if this is a roller coaster, right, and it's a, what do they call it, suspension roller coaster, whatever they called it, you need space. You need a showroom, okay? So, here's a big-ass parking lot. Could they hypothetically build a building back there? Yeah, they certainly could. That's a big project. This building right here is all... what is the ride? Rise of the Resistance, okay? So, you could, hypothetically, plop something back there. You know, use this area. You got the road here, so you got to be careful of that. However, you could pull a haunted mansion, do a little tunnel type thing, and throw it right here. So it could work. I don't know. I also heard rumors that they were going to put it over by the animation building, which is, hold on, isn't that over here somewhere? Here? Yeah, Magic of Animation. Okay, this one confuses me, because this is like Walt's journey and all the props and stuff. You could move that somewhere else. Star Wars Launch Bay is a little character meet and greet. Lady and I went there last trip to go meet BB-8. It was cute. It was adorable. This seems out of place now that you have, you know, the whole Galaxy's Edge. Why not put all the Star Wars shit in one area? So you could get rid of this. The historical stuff, while, you know, you don't want to get rid of that stuff. Obviously, that's your history. Move that somewhere else. I think that'd be fine. And I feel like you got a little bit more room to play with here, you know, in terms of freedom of the ride. So I think this makes a little bit more sense. Also, you have... do you have more? It's closer to Toy Story, so you get that. Those Pixar elements along with... Oh, sorry, I am whipping and dipping all around here. You know, you got this Pixar alley right here with the Incredibles that sometimes show up and the Jack Jack cookie. Keep all the Pixar stuff in an area. And then take the the Star Wars stuff, keep it in an area, and then you threw Muppets in there randomly. You know, I get it, Star Tours, and there's a divide here between the two. I don't know. I don't know if Muppets would be going. I don't think that makes sense for Monsters, Inc. to go right over there. You do also have Disney Junior. That is a good point. I think if they took Launch Bay in this area right here, once again, I apologize for all the twisting and turning of the map. I will try and study this out. If you do this area here, you do not have to interfere with Disney Junior. You can still keep that for the young guns and their meet and greets and do the dance party, unless you want to sit on the floor when you're 45, you know, whatever. Do your thing. Enjoy your trip. You could still have that. I don't think you would need to interfere with that. I think this just makes the most sense, because while those meet and greets are very cool for the Star Wars Launch Bay, you can do the same thing over in Galaxy's Edge. Now, I get Galaxy's Edge. The whole point of it is it's supposed to be organic and like you're living there. Fine. Then throw Launch Bay over here by the Jedi training thingy, or somewhere around this way, you know? Do that. Throw it over there. Let's see. Papa Griff says, don't know why it seems like a lot is jammed in there, but when you go there, there's nothing. Yeah, it's weird. There's stuff. It's just not perhaps the most appealing stuff or like interesting stuff. There's a lot to offer. There's just not a lot to do, or it seems like there's a lot to do. I can definitely agree with that. And it might just be because things take up a lot of space. As you can see, here's the show building for Runaway Railway, and formerly Great Movie Ride. Like, that's huge. Obviously, Galaxy's Edge. Woo! Huge here. But you got 2 rides. Boom, boom. Right here. The rest is shops and areas to walk through, which is cool. But Toy Story Land, you know, you got the 3 things. They figured out how to work the arcade into the flow of that, so you could do that with the rest of this. It's a lot of big show buildings. Obviously, you got the Little Mermaid, that's a big one. You got Indiana Jones, that's a big area. So, Rock and Roller Coaster over here. It's very spread out. I was going to say Haunted Towers. That's not what it is. Tower of Terror. Oh boy. And then Phantasmic down here. Whoop. Yeah, it's kind of all just big set pieces. So, it's very spread out. I think in terms of a flow and logic, I think the animation area makes the most sense. Where the hell is it? Oh, I'm sorry. This is Walt Disney Presents. What the hell? Oh, get rid of this. Go ahead. Sorry, the historic stuff's over here. That's safe. Yeah, get rid of this. Put Monsters Inc. here. Boop, 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 boop. Bam. Done. Easy. Leave the Muppets alone. And that's another thing, too. I don't know if just the internet is freaking out because it's an older attraction that they just assume that that's going to be the one taken out, or if somebody's actually said it. If somebody's actually said it, fine. You know, obviously I'm just a guy here who does not know anything. But if we're just screaming to scream, doesn't make sense. If someone's actually said it, okay, now I get why we're like, oh, it's going there, and we're all sad. That's fine. I don't think it makes sense, but it's not my park. I can't make that decision. So I think it would make more sense to put it over in the animation and Star Wars Launch Bay area in terms of what's around it and whatnot. But who's to say? I'm really intrigued by the ride. I know California has their dark ride version over in California Adventure for Monsters Inc. Sadly, I have not gone on that. Didn't get a chance to last time we were out there. But this seems cool that it's going to be more of that fast-paced coaster, obviously, running through the doors and whatnot. That's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to riding it once it is out there. But yeah, time will tell for a lot of these things when these are actually going to show up. Hopefully it's not too long. So we shall see. So I believe that was all of Disneyland Florida's changes. I don't think Epcot's getting anything new that they announced. We will briefly talk about Disneyland in California, what they're getting. So I think most of their stuff, well, they had a few things. Do you think I could handle if no loops? Ooh, suspension coaster, interesting. Buffer grip, no. Because think of it like Soarin', right? You could handle Soarin', but Soarin' was, you know, very chill vibes. You're barely swaying, you know, that. It's hard to say because obviously we only have an image of their concept art. I have no idea how fast the thing's going to go. I have no idea, at least in the concept art, it looks like 2x2 seating. How much are you swaying? How fast are you going? How tight are the turns? What's this? I doubt there's going to be any flips. I think I would lean towards yes, because Monsters Inc. property, you're going to think, oh, they're going to be aiming for that younger audience, the kid audience, right? They're just going to make it more exciting of a ride with the coaster element. So I would lean towards yes, but it's hard to put a definitive yes or no on it without seeing it, not in practice, but like seeing more of that. Yeah, true. Smart dude Enigma is. Yeah, thanks, but I don't know. So there's potential. There's potential. I think it could work out, and it could be very, or at least that's the goal, is to make it family orientated. It's a matter of how it comes out in practice. Like, you can always hope that things are going to go really well and be welcoming, but it could affect a lot of people differently. I mean, look at Mission Space, right? They wanted Mission Space to be, hold on, this cool experience for people, but then a lot of people were getting nauseous from it and sick, and they had to dumb it down and readjust it. So now they have Mission Space Green, while Mission Space Orange is like the original, you know, what they first designed. So it's hard to say without seeing it in practice. So time will tell with that one. I would lean towards yes, just from the family aspect or goal, but time will tell there. Because, yeah, that's a hanging coasters, while it's still a full bucket seat that you're in, you're able to kick your feet out, you got the freedom to your sides, that could be a factor that maybe messes with people who are riding it. We'll have to see. Probably want the flying effect without a thrill necessarily. Yeah, exactly. All right, so what's California Adventure getting? So we've heard about it before. I believe last D23 they talked about the Avengers. We are still getting at least I think we're still getting the Avengers versus Thanos ride. We're also going to be getting a new one they announced, which was Avengers Infinity Defense. So you are kind of suspended in these seats, it looks like, for Stark Flight Lab. That one I could see how they would take minimal space, at least based on the imagery they have here. We'll have to see. I guess we didn't get an update on the King Thanos thing. Maybe they decided to ditch that. I hope not. That looked really, really cool. But I know spacing is a big issue for California in general, so I don't know how far they're going to expand, which leads me to question, what are we doing with Avatar? Because we're making an Avatar land out there. Where are you going to put that? What? So I don't know. There's been talks on the very outside edge of Disney content creators of they're going to get rid of the Monsters Inc. area in California Adventure, and that's where they're going to put Avatar Land, and then they're going to take some of the things from the Monsters Inc. Dark ride and use that in the new attraction in Hollywood Studios, kind of refurbish it, repurpose it. I think that makes sense if that's where they're going to put it, but I don't know other than that. I don't know where they're going to put this whole Avatar Land. Time will tell. I think that was all we got for California, so not too much. So selfishly, hey, Florida. But nonetheless, a lot of cool stuff announced. In terms of dates, we talked about it briefly of how long is everything going to take. So just skimming through this article, I did see one date. I'm just going to see if they have anything else listed. So for example, the Animal Kingdom stuff, they have a date here. Tropical Americas is set to open in 2027. Yikes. So we still got 3 years there. Hopefully Indy doesn't take that long, because it is a lot of already built elements, with the ride, if they decide to use the same track exactly similar to Tiana's. But 2027 for that. That is the only thing in this particular article from the WaltDisneyCompany.com that has an a date. So we'll see. Outside of park stuff, just really briefly, Marvel stuff that was announced. There was a trailer that was shown off for Thunderbolts. There was a trailer that was shown off for Agatha All Along, or rather another one. There was a trailer dropped for Daredevil Born Again. That was San Diego Comic-Con. It was RDJ is Doctor Doom. We saw the animated Spider-Man show. That got shown off a little bit with some of the cast being revealed. Trying to think if there was anything else. Animation-wise, we have Zootopia 2 is confirmed. Incredibles 3 is confirmed. Frozen 3. Brother, why don't I start to make things up? Lilo and Stitch live action got shown off, at least Stitch. Toy Story 5. I think that was everything. At least that's what I can remember. So, some interesting stuff there. I get Toy Story's popular. That's probably the only one I'm like, what? Because we've ended this series twice. With 3 and 4 we had nice endings. Why are we doing another one? But I get it. Money. So, but yeah, really enjoyed diving into all these D23 announcements. Like I said, obviously me, tip of the iceberg in terms of a knowledge base. If you have any more interest in these topics, in these things that are coming to the parks, check out those Disney creators. There's definitely a lot of them over on YouTube. They probably know a little bit more than me. A lot. Go check them out. and get your fix over there. But looking forward to the changes, seeing what's coming in. Obviously, it's impressive to see what the Imagineers over there can create with the animatronics and the presentation that they do with stuff. So as long as the TLC is behind it, I'm all ready for it. Excited to see what is next for the parks. Moving on to topic 2. Holy shit, that was a long first topic. This will probably be a shorter one. It's kind of like a revisit, perhaps, maybe not. But I wanted to briefly talk about comfort shows. I don't know what made me think about this, but, actually, I do know. Just want to talk about some shows that I find like as comfort shows, and like shows where you can you have it on, you not turn your brain off, but it just always kind of brings you those happy feelings. You really enjoy yourself. It doesn't matter where you are in the narrative. You could turn it on, share a laugh, and just kind of zone, relax, kind of disassociate from the world, disconnect. So the reason I was thinking about this is because Nick at Night has always been one of those like series of programs in the lineup where you can turn that on, whether it was as a kid or even now, and those are some of the shows that really kind of hit and checked all those boxes like I was talking about. So like your Friends, George Lopez was one, The Nanny with Fran Drescher, like just having these shows on for some reason, Full House I guess being another one, they were always ones that really made me happy. And just like I said, it was short, quick. I guess I don't know if it would be sitcom is the correct genre title for those, but you could jump in, have a laugh at stupid situations that the characters are getting into, which I guess defines sitcom. Situational comedy, Bret, come on. And just zone out. And yeah, so I think running into that recently, just throwing on Nickelodeon, still being like, oh yeah, they do still have these programs that just don't go away. They just kind of keep rerunning them. Made me think about this and what are some of my most favorite shows to just put on and get that quick moment of happiness. Like I said, disconnect, being able to relax. What are those? So we've talked about it before, but The Office is definitely one that I feel I can watch on repeat and just have that on and still have that emotional journey with those characters, even though I've seen those episodes probably 10 times over at this point. The Office is definitely one of those shows, and I was late to the party, like I feel like a lot of people were. Pandemic definitely helped a lot of us in terms of like, how do I fill my time? What do I watch? And streaming services helped with that. So The Office being one, whether it is just popping in for a quick episode to get the laughs or watching that narrative that they're telling, whether it is the full 9 seasons or just the season arc or whatever it is, you can have these bonds formed with the characters, have an emotional response with, and I feel like I said, even though I've seen The Office numerous times, I can still have that reaction from that show, and that just shows me how good of a narrative it is and like how much enjoyment I get out of it. So The Office is up there for sure. One of my favorite shows of all time, which I haven't watched in quite some time, and I definitely would love to, but How I Met Your Mother, I used to watch that on repeat on Netflix. Just boop, 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 boop. Oh, we're done with season 8 because this was before the show was over. Whoop, just start it right back over. Just have it on in the background, playing games or just zoning out while that was going on, laughing at all the dumb jokes over and over and over again. Noticing little different things here and there. That was definitely a great one. I did watch that a lot. I did. Yep. So yeah, How I Met Your Mother was great. Friends, I'll give that one a shout out too. That was one I hadn't watched all the way through till adulthood probably. Like I knew as a kid like it was popular and in the zeitgeist and everything. Going back and watching it, it's still a good time. I know there's certain things, obviously didn't age super well, but it's important too that we realize that, like, hey, maybe that joke doesn't land as well or what it did back in the day. We grow from it. That's the important thing. So we're just going to leave that there. Boop, pin over there. Friends is still really good. A lot of laughs there. Absolutely love there's a few episodes in there that I love, but like there's the whole we're on a break thing. There's the trivia for the apartment and Miss Chenandler Bong or whatever it is. Like that's a great time. A lot of laughs in that one. Papa Griff shouting them some here as well. Seinfeld, yeah, that's one I haven't delved into, but that's definitely a good one with some laughs too. Big Bang Theory is another one. I know those early seasons, I definitely watched those on loop, and had a good time with those, especially having the comic book aspect in it and just the more nerdy conversations. Like, yep, I can relate to these. So those were good. What else is there? I talked about George Lopez. I think King of Queens is another one. And like TBS was another channel that I felt had like a lot of good programs similar to this that had those vibes. King of Queens, and I mean Friends had the reruns on there. Everybody Loves Raymond was another good one to have on, just them shouting at each other. What else was there? I think this was Family Channel. I think My Wife and Kids, is that the right show? But that one I always really enjoyed, and they had a fun family dynamic there. You know, My Wife and Kids, I believe it is. Yeah. That was a great show. That My Wife and Kids and George Lopez, like those were very funny. Like I talked about it earlier, but you could just pop into an episode. They'd have those funny narratives that they are telling in those individual moments and stories and episodes, and you could jump in, laugh at things. But then if you really watch those shows all the way through, like not that it's like, oh my God, breakneck TV where it's like the super serious thing, but they could have serious stories and elements, and you're like, oh shit, there's something going on with here. Like I remember Junior got into some shit in My Wife and Kids, and then Carmen from the George Lopez show, like she had a whole arc and like some serious stuff, and she was getting in trouble. Like I appreciated that there was that added layer to it. You could come in, just have a good time if you just needed something on in the background, but then if you wanted this story, you could have the, you know, development with the characters, you grow invested in them, go through this narrative with them, and then it's like, oh, yeah, that was really satisfying. You know, that I appreciated that it wasn't just slapstick comedy. Sounds like a very bad descriptor, but just like haha hee hee blah. I think that's what makes these shows stand out a little bit too, as these comfort shows, is you can get multiple things from them. It's not just all stupid laughs. It's not the hardcore stories, which, don't get me wrong, those programs are really good for that. Like, you want those narratives. Like me recently watching The Boys. That's a very serious at times. There's definitely very weird, obscure stuff in The Boys, but like there's a strong narrative with consequences. Same with like an NCIS. Granted, that's, you know, more non-fiction based, reality based. Like those shows are still good too, because they have you at the edge of your seat. They're dragging you along. You know, like Numbers. I know Mrs. G and I used to watch Numbers all the time. I think that was the one, right? Guy from Santa Claus. I think I'm right. Like, that was a really good show to watch. But in terms of these shows, it was nice to have that duality, I guess you could say, or those options. Let's see. Papa Griff said, Mom and I crushed the one with Patrick Warburton one time. Forgot what it was. Patrick Warburton. I know he was in... Oh, wait, hold on. No, I'm thinking Everybody Loves Raymond show. That's not him. They just both have deep voices. Not seeing it. Of course, they didn't bring it up. Why the hell? Did I type his name wrong? Oh, I just did Patrick Burton. Rules of Engagement? That one was good. I think I remember watching that a little bit. Yeah, I think that's the one you're talking about. Nice. Yeah, that was another funny one. Yeah. Why am I blanking now? I don't know. I guess I just wanted to gush about TV for a little bit, and these like shows that you don't really put a lot of stake into when you're watching them. It's just like, oh, this is going to be something funny to watch. I know there's other shows out there. Well, there's a lot of shows out there. Like I know 2.5 Men. That was another show for some people. I don't think that one personally clicked with me all that much. But it feels like I just want to give a little bit more credit to these shows, and it's not just dumb television, where it really helps you as a person in terms of like finding that comfort zone, having something on to, calm you down, relax you, whatever it is, have a good time. And of course, this goes across all mediums of media. Is that what I'm saying? Forms of media. Like, there's a lot of things that can do that for you. You have your comfort movies that you can go to. If you play games, you have those games that can be those comfort things. If you read, it could be that. Numbers was what we watched. Thank you. It's just nice to have those go-tos that you can throw on, tap into, once again, disconnect. I know I keep repeating myself a lot in this episode, or this topic. It's just nice to have those things, and really, I just wanted to shout those out and appreciate it, what those things were able to do. So yeah, a lot of good stuff out there. Very quick rant here. Shorter topic. Like I said, I didn't know where I was going with this. But yeah, shout out to those comfort shows. Thank you for being there. Thanks for being a friend. That's cheers, right? Well, everybody, this has been another episode of the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast. My name is Bret, a.k.a. Enigma911, and you can catch this podcast live over on twitch.tv/Enigma911. You can join us in the chat as we record it live Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Joining on the fun with us over there. But if you can't catch it live, that's A-OK. Go over to YouTube and podcast services the very next week, where it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video and MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least,